What's going on YouTube? In today's video, I wanted to cover a few different things, starting with Cursor. We're going to go ahead and try out Cursor. It is similar to VS Code. There is some complaints there saying it is just a fork, but I do believe it does have some value for those that are not able to use Copilot within VS Code. So this is something that we're going to go ahead and check out today, in addition to Claude, which is not something that I've used in the past until just recently. So what we are going to cover today is going to involve two different scripts, both of which are going to interact with OpenAI's Playground or the API. So what I wanted for my own solution was I wanted to interact with the OpenAI assistant. So for instance, I wanted to create this is just for example, if I wanted to create a content creator, so maybe I want to make social media posts, instead of logging in, going into GPT and creating this post, I wanted to be able to kind of just prompt it just from a UI within my desktop environment, and then get that response so I could use that in a social media post. And then the other idea that I came up with a few weeks back is a side hustle generator, an idea generator. So what that does is it kind of go ahead and it scrapes the Reddit, the subreddit side hustle, and it just grabs the various titles and the comments therein and puts it all together, throws it into the AI. We're going to be using 4.0 or GPT-4 in this case, and then we're going to go ahead and get just a summary so I can get a brief description of these different ideas that people are using in order to get extra money. And this is something for me to use to brainstorm. Maybe this is something that you could also use. But so overall, the whole purpose of this project is we're going to go ahead and use Claude to we're going to prompt it to give us a script. And then we're going to go ahead and take that into Cursor. And then without any additional scripting on my end, we're going to go ahead and prompt Cursor to make the adjustments that we think is necessary in order to meet that final vision for this product. So with that being said, let's get started. So for the very first step, we're going to go head over to Claude, and let's go ahead and just kind of give us our first prompt to get the initial script. And then we'll go ahead and go over into Cursor and make adjustments that we deem necessary. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to create a Python script that's going to interact with OpenAI, the Playground or the API. The assistant is exactly what we want to be interacting with. Within the assistant, we're going to have different functions that the assistants will be doing. So let me go ahead and show that real quick. So if you haven't seen my other video, which I'll pull up right here, this is a video I had done a few weeks back, and this kind of goes over the Playground, and in there I kind of explain the assistants and how to do all that. But for today's video, this is what we're going to be doing. So I have two different assistants. First one being, like I said, would be the daily side hustle. Here's going to be the prompt or the system instructions. So you have one job: summarize the data from a subreddit. We're looking for ideas, and we need you to be an idea generator based on the Reddit threads provided. Be concise in what you report back to me. Do not use any outside resource other than what is from the user prompt. So what I want to do is I already have this script. So let me pull that up here. I already have this script. I made this a few weeks back. So what this is going to do is going to be using a Python PRA, which is a Python Reddit API wrapper, just a way to interact. It's a wrapper to interact with the Reddit API. So right here at the top, we're going to have the various credential information. So we have the client ID, client secret, user agent. This is all going to depend on how you get your so you're gonna have to go, we can maybe cover this in another video, but you got to set up your Reddit API to get the keys. I'm just gonna go over the script really quick because it's pretty straightforward. Then we're gonna go ahead and define a variable subreddit, and then we're gonna go ahead and grab side hustle using the subreddit function within the Reddit library, which is from up here. Then we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna open up a file. So we're just gonna say with open side hustle post with comments. We're going to write it to a file, and we're going to save it as file or use it as file. Then just to prevent any errors or to handle any errors, we're going to use a try except block. And then we're going to iterate through each post. We can make our limitations here. In this case, for this example, we'll just do 10 to make it faster. And then we're going to go ahead in that text file, we're going to go ahead and write out the various information. So the title, the score, ID, URL. Some of this is not necessary, but it is what it is. We can delete it later if we ever need to. Then we're going to go down, same thing. Pretty much down here we need the authors and the comments. Pretty much straightforward. We're going to add a separator, so there's some spacing. It's not really needed for GPT. And then we're going to go ahead and sleep so we can comply with any rate limits if there is any. And if there's any errors, we'll print that error out. And then at the final portion of the script, we'll go ahead and explain that scripting has been completed and it's saved to this file here. All right, so now we're back at Claude. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and prompt the AI in order to generate the script. So let's go ahead. I'll kind of write it out and then I'll come back to it after. We'll kind of fast forward to this part. All right, so this might not be the best way to write this. Just a quick prompt, didn't even reread it, just kind of seeing what we got, and we're going to send it and go from there and try to edit it and get it to work with Cursor. So with that being said, from the very top, we're going to generate a Python script with a UI that has a sole function of interacting with OpenAI Playground Assistant. For any API keys or assistant information, I want that stored in a environment file so that the keys are not stored directly in the script. That's just kind of for security purposes going down the road. Not really necessary for this. This UI will have a drop down at the very top. This will act as a selector to the OpenAI assistant or assistant. In this drop down, I want two selections. The first being the content creator, the second being idea gen. Depending on what assistant is selected will determine what happens when the submit button is pressed later on. Below the dropdown, I want a large text box that will return the response from the assistant. In this large text box, if any user prompts, we can have this here as well. And it doesn't really make sense, but he'll probably get it. Below this large text box, I need an input field for any user input that may be sent to the assistant, and then a submit button. And then I gotta go over this. I'm not sure if this will work. I hope it does. So I said next I want to cover the idea gen portion of the script. This does not require user input. Instead, it will use praw to read from Reddit. Here's an example of what I want to do. So this is the script that we had just covered in a few minutes ago. And I kind of just copied, pasted it in here. And I'm hoping that I can kind of integrate that within this script. I guess I could have added a content and maybe even added an image. But let's go ahead and see what we get. And just like that, we have our script with many lines of Python. Cool part about it is not only do we have our script on the right side, if you close it, you could open it up for future reference. Also, it describes some things that you may need. Here's a breakdown of the main components, this being the environment file that we have to create in order to store this information. As you can see here, this will go ahead and read that in. And then it just goes over the UI and it tells us what libraries we need to install. So let's go ahead and bring this over to Cursor. I wanted to kind of catch it all. The only things you missed or that I did not record was I went ahead and installed some of the libraries that were not installed on this machine. So OpenAI and PyQt5. So the next thing that I ran into is saying that when I went and tried to run it, is that it's missing this. So the cool part about this, so this is going to be in the environment file. So let's go back to Claude real quick. Actually, we could do this right into in Cursor. So if we just do Control L, pretty cool, just like you would in Copilot. We'll go ahead and chat with it. So we could just say, we just go ahead and paste that into there. All right, so there we go. We just kind of asked to provide an example. We gave it some context of the error that we were getting. Certainly, here's an example of it. So we just got to create a text file, essentially rename it to a .env, remove the .txt, and just have the stuff inside of there, and then go ahead and replace our credentials with what we have here. Easy enough. So let's do that now. So go ahead and go to Notepad. Go ahead and copy this, paste this in here, and then I'm not going to obviously show you my API keys, but you're going to go ahead and just replace your OpenAI key here, your Reddit client ID here, your secret here, and the user agent could go here, which is going to be your username, and that's going to be it. So this is kind of how it will be. So you'll have your env file, and then your Python file, and then in there you will specify your credentials that I had just explained. So one thing that I noticed already within the script that was from Claude is that it looks like this function here it kind of made up its own function or an assistant. So let's go ahead and we're going to see if we could use cursor to kind of fix this up for us. We'll kind of see what happens here, I guess. So let's so you do Control Shift L, and then I'll bring it to edit the chat. So it kind of just adds that right in there, and then just say it looks like this. All right. I'm not even going to really read through all this. Let's just kind of see if it works. That's kind of the whole point of this, to kind of see how quick we could get it. So we're going to go ahead and hit apply up here. Kind of gives us just like we would see in Git. So it's going to remove this, going to add this, and you can kind of see exactly what's going on. Go ahead and hit accept. And now that's in there. The other problem that I just noticed as well is that this, maybe I wasn't so clear with the prompt with Claude. I'd have to go ahead and review it, but maybe I did not specify that also for the idea generation, we want to interact with a assistant within OpenAI. So we already have an assistant that's going to go ahead and read this information, and I just wanted to post that data to that. So I might have to redo all of this. So I'm also going to ask Cursor to see if it can maybe help us out. Let's see what happens. Pretty much I kind of just gave a brief explanation of what we want. I'm not sure it's going to work. I kind of might have messed this all up, but let's see what happens here. I mean, I do see it's looking for an assistant ID. Let's hit apply and see what happens. So this is exactly what I wanted. This is something that we're going to change in a minute, but this is kind of what I was getting at, right? So we have a drop down selector up here, content creator, and an idea generator. So depending on what selector that we pick, will give us a different function. So in this case, for content creator, we're going to go ahead and specify a prompt here. Now it should interact with the content creator assistant and give us a social media post, essentially, with some system instructions that we had specified prior to this conversation. And then the same thing for idea gen. Kind of we already talked about this, but let's go ahead and X out of this real quick. And we do need to update the assistant ID, and there should be 2, I would imagine. So this is going to be maybe for content creator. So we'll go ahead and I'll paste it in here now. All right, so I went ahead and pasted that in there. So to find that, if you go back over to the playground and you go to your assistants, right here at the bottom is the idea that I'm, or the ID that I'm just talking about. So go ahead, copy and paste that into there. Go ahead, save it. Control F5 to run without debugging. Let's see what we get. So technically, as it stands, we should be able to hit idea gen, hit submit, and see what happens. I do not have faith in this whatsoever. I'm not even sure if it's doing anything. Looks like it's doing something. It's kind of frozen right now. And that's how you do it. That's how crazy this is, right? So we went into Claude, we created a script, and we asked it. We kind of messed up the prompt. Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe we weren't too specific. This is not something that I've done really. As far as, so I took a script that I had already made, kind of posted it as an example into this, and didn't really explain that we needed, or we already had an OpenAI assistant. So I kind of just used Cursor real quick to explain, hey, we want to update and modify this. And look at that. So these are ideas literally from Reddit, from the last 10 posts, and it kind of just puts together some things. And the reason why I know this is real is because I just did it manually and I was able to verify this before. So if we go back here, let me pull it up right now, actually. So here's just an example. So I had run this from, my script that I had showed you earlier in Visual Studio Code. And these are just, just literally just the comments that were scraped from Reddit. So here's this guy talking about, I made my first 125 on Polymarket, 25% return in 6 weeks. Here you go. Literally talks about had made their first 125 in Polymarket. So this is just a quick way for me to kind of get out there or quickly kind of read out and see ideas, maybe, just get those ideas going. Another one that I saw that I knew was in here for sure, user seeking 200 daily in Miami, such as delivering UPS packages, translating languages. So if I went to here and I type in Miami, I knew that popped up. Look at that. Any idea in Miami in under 6 work hours under these conditions. And then if we went in here, I type in UPS, Here's this guy talking about UPS. So there you go. That's our idea generator. You know, we made a few mistakes. We used Cursor to update it and fix it. Literally didn't script anything. In here, we have a full, I mean, it's not production grade, but it's, you know, this is something that we could use. So let's go ahead and try the second selection. So let's go to the top, click on content creator. So the idea behind this one is if we go in here and we say, let's just, because it already has the assistant, it's kind of, I think this one's geared toward like a tech support job or something like that. So if I just do tech support in New Jersey for elderly residents, let's see what we get. It's thinking. You gotta be kidding me. Look at that. So this, I mean, it has the old prompts in there, right? So we have the user right here. So tech support in New Jersey for elderly residents. So let's say I wanted to create a social media post. I already have some pictures, but I just kind of need, you know, at least, or even just an idea. Maybe I don't copy and paste this, but now just something to work with, right? So I'll go in here, assistant, and here's our social media post. Struggling with technology, need help setting up your new smartphone or figuring out how to use your computer, we're here to help. We're a tech support company catering to elderly residents in New Jersey. We understand that technology can be overwhelming sometimes, but don't worry. Our patient, blah, 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 blah. And then we have our contact us details with a phone number, a fake email, and a fake website. You know, this just saves time. These are things that I could just automate my time. Let's just do another one real quick. So let's do backup support for small business clients in California. Doesn't get any better than this, ladies and gentlemen. Here's my user prompt. I asked it to keep it short and simple, no icons. Here's the SEO optimized headline. Running a, where's the, oh, sorry, right here. Here's the SEO optimized title. Empowering California small business, backup support to keep your company data secure. Running a small business in California and worried about your data security, our backup support services are designed for you. There you go again. There's a contact us details, copy, paste, or maybe put it in an automation solution. Now you have your post, right? Crazy. All right. But that's not even part of this. The coolest part is that we were able to do all this just from a Claude prompt. We made some mistakes. We came into Cursor. We modified it just by using chat. And then that's it. So one more thing. So let's say like this right here, right? I don't like how this is so small. If I type in, you know, a long prompt and I don't want to go back, I gotta delete it or scroll over. So let's go ahead and let's edit that. Let's make that a little bit bigger. We don't need this, you know, massive size here. So let's go ahead and do that now. So all we're going to do is we're going to go open into control, just go into the chat. Let's just say modify the user input prompt to be a little larger, maybe 3 lines in height. Let's see what we get. I don't know why we're getting this whole thing. Let's see what happens. Apply. Okay, so it's just updating the height, and that just gave us more, right? So it's going to go ahead and remove that. It's give us a fixed height. The user input looks good to me, except Control F5, run without debugging. Let's see it. There it is. Let's go into content creator, and then we can just antivirus for the homies who subscribe on my YouTube channel, CyberMe. We broke it. Oh no. So let's go ahead. All we're going to do is copy this, paste this into here. Dude, I apologize for the oversight. You're right, and the error message confirms that we need to update the method for retrieving from QText edit. Sounds good to me. Let's go ahead and apply that. Looks like it's now converting it to plain text. Yeah, looks good to me. Run that again. Wouldn't be the first time that I had a few errors, you know, back to back. Sometimes they fix it first way, you know, go around. Sometimes I have to kind of tune it and play around with it myself. But most times I'm able to kind of just, you know, copy, paste the error, and at least get somewhere, some kind of direction, get a little bit further and troubleshooting that error. Looks like it's doing something, and there we go. Want to stay updated with the latest news, deals, and exclusive content? Subscribe now to be a part of our insider community. Look at that. It's awesome. All right, so that's going to close out today's video. I hope you were able to take something away. So just to kind of cover or quickly, cover exactly what we went over in this video. We started out with Claude prompting the AI to create a Python script. In this, we had, this exact UI request with these various windows here, text fields, the selector, drop down with these in there, and the submit button. And I also provided a script because this idea gen is actually a script. So I provided an example script that I had used in the past and pasted it right into Claude and asked, hey, can we implement that into our selection of idea gen? And it did exactly that. Now, when we came over to Cursor, we tried executing it after installing the various libraries. We found that we had some problems. So it did not use the OpenAI assistant that we had created previously. So all I had to do was go ahead and chat with Cursor and give it some context and some reasoning as to what's going on and what I need, and it went ahead and updated it within seconds. And then we have a working script here, our own OpenAI assistant. So again, I hope you were able to take something away. You definitely need to be using this stuff. Check it out. I'm always going to be putting out more tutorials, so definitely subscribe. It's not always related to cybersecurity. It's always it's random cybersecurity, AI, home automation, system administration. I'm all things tech. But with that being said, as always, never stop learning.